Disturbing mental disorders you've probably never heard of.
Before we begin the video, I'd like to offer a disclaimer. Some of the illnesses that we're going to discuss today may not be directly recognized by the DSM-5 as a standalone diagnosis, but may fall under other, more overarching categories as a symptom. This can make them a bit harder to treat singularly, often causing them to appear untreatable, when, in reality, treating an overarching condition can lead to their mitigation or cessation. Please avoid taking any of today's diagnoses and applying them to yourself without the assistance of a professional. Thank you and enjoy the project. Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Miles and today we're diving into 5 disturbing mental disorders that you've probably never heard of. From a condition which falsifies romantic feelings, to a disorder that copies and pastes delusions from one person to another. Today's list has it all. So get ready and hold on to your seat, because this project just may leave you in shock. Number 1. Erotomania. This disorder falls into the category of delusional disorders and is accepted as a form of psychosis which can stand alone or be seen in concert with conditions like schizophrenia, major depressive disorder, bipolar disorder, or Alzheimer's. With this disorder, the sufferer maintains an irrational belief that another person is most certainly in love with them. Such a vapid delusion can cause sufferers to believe that a public figure, or even a celebrity, is romantically interested in them. With no real cause or solid groundings to prove this, erotomania is based in personal fantasy and can persist even if no evidence is presented. The staggering thing about this disorder is that it can be exacerbated by social media platforms such as Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. These forms of media allow us to personally be involved in people's lives, which we'd otherwise have a greater distance from. People who are already fostering feelings of loneliness, deep social stress, or non-inclusion can develop this disorder as a maladaptive coping mechanism, making it a challenging disorder that you may have seen someone develop, but likely weren't familiar with the actual term. Number 2. Folie à deux, or shared psychotic disorder. This is a disorder which rarely sees the light of day when it comes to mainstream media. However, that doesn't make it any less terrifying. It's commonly referred to as shared psychotic disorder, and it is incredibly unsettling in nature. With this disorder, a mentally stable person can actually take on the symptoms of someone close to them who may be suffering from a psychotic disorder. This can also be known to happen in small groups where the individuals have close and intimate involvement with the psychotic person. An example of this would be cult followers taking up the delusions of a mentally unwell leader. With this condition, the person affected is generally influenced by the psychotic individual, taking on their delusions or fixed beliefs fully. For example, if the psychotic person shares the idea that they believe they're being stalked by the government, the individual with shared psychotic disorder will also believe in that delusion, making this condition a startling and concerning reality for some. One that, I believe, deserves more attention, as it can be tied to a number of horrifying cases, ones which I can't even comfortably mention here on this channel. But I encourage you, if you're interested in learning more, to do your own research. I'll leave it at that. Number 3. Factitious disorder. Factitious disorder can be one of the hardest disorders on today's list to personally mitigate. Sufferers will deliberately try to fabricate signs which support the wrongful assertion that they have a certain physical illness, seeking out treatment, personalized care, and attention through multiple medical outlets. This disorder is purely psychological, with the main goal being to receive the attention that comes with announcing that they have some sort of physical illness, which requires immediate and lengthy or repetitive methods of treatment. In very extreme cases, sufferers will convince doctors that they require extensive surgeries or would benefit from prolonged care, taking away from those who truly require such things. Some have even been known to cause themselves harm in an attempt to lend credibility to their urgent need for medical attention. This can lead them to actively put their lives in danger, often repeatedly. And while this disorder can be experienced by a sufferer directly, it can also be experienced by a caregiver, only instead of a certain illness pertaining to them, it pertains to someone in their care. This can be particularly common for caregivers of children or elderly people, in which the caregiver will actively create conditions which they claim their charge is suffering from in an attempt to gain attention. This little-known disorder is just now becoming more prominent, and thankfully, today, we're able to spread awareness so that further understanding can be fostered. Number 4. Reduplicative Paramnesia. This is a disorder that is very similar to one I've discussed in a previous video, called Capgras syndrome or Capgras delusion. With Capgras syndrome, the sufferer believes that those around them have been switched out with doubles or doppelgangers. On the other hand, with reduplicative paramnesia, sufferers hold the belief that their entire location has been duplicated, relocated, or is existing in multiple places simultaneously. This can lead them to believe that their house has been copied and placed somewhere unfamiliar versus the street that they've lived on. Like erotomania, reduplicative paramnesia can be seen in those with conditions such as Alzheimer's, dementia, and a handful of psychiatric disorders. This condition can also be observed in those who have experienced severe head trauma or a stroke, making it a dangerous and disorienting disorder to live with. Number 5. Ekbom syndrome. Ekbom syndrome is a neuropsychiatric condition in which sufferers can experience visual hallucinations or tactile sensations which solidify their belief that they are personally infested with invisible bugs or parasites. This can cause them to feel bugs actively moving beneath their skin, even when there is little to no evidence of such an occurrence, or see bugs crawling up their walls, even if their house is cleanly and no one else has spotted an infestation. According to certain studies, this condition is more commonly experienced by women and those over the age of 40, and can last anywhere from 2 years to a handful of years. Like some of the other disorders mentioned on today's list, it can be an accompanying condition experienced by those currently suffering with schizophrenia, paranoid personality disorder, or neurosis. With Ekbom syndrome, most sufferers refrain from psychological treatment as they completely believe and lend ultimate credence to the need for medical intervention to end their torment. And because of the rareness of this disorder, it's discussed very seldomly, earning it a place on today's list as this video comes to a close. Thank you all for joining me once again for another episode in this series. If you'd like to see more content like this, please leave me a comment below. Thank you for watching and stay awesome.